Good morning. Today is Tuesday, July the 9th, 2019. It's 8:30 a.m. It's my pleasure to call to order today's meeting of the Tennessee Department of Commerce and Insurance Board of Funeral Directors and Embalmers. Ms. Bohannon, will you please call the roll?
Jeff Bridges.
Here.
Robert Davis.
Here.
Jeff Duffer.
Here.
Clark McKinney.
Here.
Charles Rahm.
Here.
Robert Shackelford.
Here.
Mr. President, all board members are here and accounted for.
Thank you, Ms. Bohannon. If we'll take a few minutes to review and adopt the meeting agenda.
So move. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. McKinney. We have a second by Mr. Rahm. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving over to the next item on the agenda would be the minutes. We need to review those and approve those minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion by Mr. Rahm. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Davis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda, I'm going to recuse myself and pass the chair to Mr. McKinney. Mr. McKinney?
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Spicer.
Good morning, gentlemen. Before you on your iPads, you have the Watson North Funeral Home, Whispering Winds Crematory, Thomas Henry North Jr. Funeral Director License and Embalmer License Settlement Agreement that I'm asking you all to approve.
Motion to approve the board's recommendation.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Rahm, a second by Mr. Davis. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion.
No.
Thank you. Let that record reflect that Mr. Shackelford voted no. Thank you. The motion carried.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. McKinney. We'll move over to the legal report.
For purposes of the record, there is no legal report to present this morning.
Thank you, Ms. Spicer. Next item on the agenda is the director's report. Mr. Gribble?
Mr. President and board members, the first item on the agenda is a legislative update. A notify was sent on June 24, 2019 by the Department of Commerce and Insurance to those individuals who had signed up previously to receive notifications from the Tennessee Board of Funeral Directors and Embalmers. And on your iPad is the information that was contained in that funeral board notify that was sent. And it was regarding revision to the statute that became effective April 18, 2019, removing the U.S. citizenship requirement to obtain an embalmer's license. The report of licenses is administratively approved by the Executive Director pursuant to the Board authority for the period of June 11, 2019 through July 8, 2019. Have two establishments, and then have a list of the funeral directors and embalmers that were approved for licensure. We have no closed establishments to report to you today. As far as the disciplinary action report, this is a report of consent orders that have been administratively accepted and approved by the Executive Director pursuant to the Board authority, and as reported on the May 2019 Regulatory Board Disciplinary Action Report. That lists one individual there on that report. Also, the complaint report for this meeting lists 11 complaints against either a funeral director and or embalmer, and 22 complaints against an establishment for a total of 33 complaints. Mr. President, that concludes my report. I'll be glad to answer any questions anyone has.
Any questions from the board members for Mr. Gribble?
Make a motion that we accept the director's report.
We have a motion by Mr. McKinney. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Rahm. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of license applications.
Mr. Duffer, there are no individuals nor establishments to appear before the board today.
Thank you, Mr. Gribble. Next item, new business. We have a new business.
Legal and their staff has no new business to present to you.
Thank you, sir.
Move to adjourn.
We have a motion by Mr. McKinney to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Bridges. Thank you, gentlemen. Meeting's adjourned.